Who said there is more hunger in the world for love and appreciation than for bread? Anybody got any ideas? Michelle? Candies? Good guess.
Was it Naz?
Was it Naz? Could be even better guess. Bang on.
Yay!
Mother Teresa, the woman who worked with the poor, saw starving and pestilence and illness. She said, there is more hunger for appreciation and love. As something that we do in Toastmasters, we actually practice giving love and appreciation. It's the other side of the coin to making a good speech. It's giving feedback. Giving someone some love and appreciation. It's a skill that we all can learn and can improve on. And I'm pleased to say that Steve is going to be talking about feedback later on. A couple of quick announcements. If we could all get here for 7 o'clock, it's a 7 o'clock for 7:15 start, it enables people, so Tony then, to actually know who's actually in the room and who can actually take the roles. Because we seem to be getting bad at actually confirming or letting people know that they can't make it. So if we could all be here by 7, we could start the meetings on time. Would that be okay? If we could all be here for 7. And tomorrow, do you know what's happening tomorrow? Anybody know what's happening tomorrow?
We're coming back for more.
We're coming back for more. Excellent. Everybody going to come tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. It promises to be a fantastic evening.
What about Saturday? Isn't that one?
Saturday?
Yeah, aren't we going over to join another Toastmaster?
That's officer training.
Yeah, and isn't that Saturday?
That's Saturday. Yeah. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
No, it's Saturday.
Was it Saturday? Okay, we'll confirm that in a minute, at the end. Yeah, tomorrow, as many of you can come, please come, and also bring friends, relatives, and even the dead if necessary, to get more bums on seats. The more we got there, the more of a buzz we're going to have, and the more fun we're going to have. And finally, the Accelerated Speaking Workshop. I'm going to send round the list. If you want to join in, please sign up today, because we can then organise it for sort of beginning of February. Probably the second week in February we'll start. Well, now it gives me great pleasure to introduce your Toastmaster for the evening. The one, the only, the effervescent, the wonderful, Stella.
Well, good evening everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be in front of you tonight. I'm going to be helping to keep this smoothly and just move from a speaker to the next one. So to start, I would like to introduce the roles of tonight. To start, we will have our timekeeper is going to be Tony Broadbent. Tony, would you please stand up and explain us what is your role about?
My role this evening is to keep things hopefully running to time. With the speakers and the evaluators, we have, most of you know this, but for those that don't, we have, if you look down your, what this is called, this thing here, agenda, you have, for example, Steen talking between 7, 8 and 10 minutes. So at 7 minutes, the green light will go on, like so. At 8 minutes, the amber light. And at 10 minutes, the red light. If he talks between those times, it's kind of hit target. If he runs beyond red, he's run over time. So that's my role, hopefully keep the meeting running to time.
Great, thank you very much. Our grammarian and counter is Julian. Will you please stand up and explain us your role?
My role as grammarian this evening means that I'm going to do lots of listening, and I'm going to be listening and concentrating on what you're saying. So hopefully, if I listen really well, I'm going to be able to pick up all those lovely phrases that you say. I'm going to try and find those nice words and nice descriptive things that you might talk about in your speeches. I'm also going to listen for the R counter, so I'll be also looking for all those crux words that we use in between our speeches. Thank you.
Well, and without taking most of your time, I would like to invite Jeremy again back to the stage, imaginary stage, to start our warm-up.
Alison sends her apologies from her bed. Unfortunately, she has got the dreaded lurgy. But she did send in actually a warm-up, and she'd like me to use it. Right. The setup is that she's got 4 friends and they're going away on holiday. And they decide they're going to go from Southampton, so they trundle down to the car, and they get in the car, and they turn the key and go, grr, grr, grr. Doesn't work. So what happened next? It's a story where we just continue the story, we just say up to 15, 20 seconds of the story, we go round, starting from here, going round all the way to the back. Okay, so what happened next time?
Well, it was 20 minutes to go and the Queen Mary was about to leave. It was a world cruise. It was the cruise of a lifetime. We'd been saving for over 2 years for this. We had all our best clothes, cases and cases and cases between the 4 of us. How were we going to get to the docks? John.
Well, we got to the docks. John. We got to the docks just in time, and do you know what? The cruise computer broke down, and we joined a queue and stood there with nothing to eat or drink, no seats or anything, for 3 hours before we managed to get on the ship.
My name is Olga. Yes, we're now on the ship. What we are doing, of course, is we go the first thing we go to the Louvre, and then what we will do to them? We are so frustrated, we are lost for words, we are very tired, and but after visiting Louvre, we are able to do something else, go to drink, to eat, and to...
Well, after we eat and we drink, we finally go to see the Queen Mary, but we couldn't find it because obviously one of our friends, he just started having a panic attack. You see, he has seen Titanic way too many times. So he started thinking of what will happen if we just sink
I'm wondering if we were going to sink, but the whole time I was just wondering, well, there's not many icebergs where we're going because we're going to the Mediterranean, so we should be okay, we shouldn't have too much of a problem. I did want to do my Kate Winslet moment and actually go to the front of the ship, but after that it was a bit of a rocky moment, and
Okay, my name's Dee, by the way, and all of a sudden we had this screaming. We thought, oh my goodness, what is this? And they said, oh no, the captain, he's had too much to drink. What, too much to drink? My goodness, he got his dates mixed up. You see, he gets a bit confused sometimes. And actually, we actually played the joke on him. Instead of giving him a bottle of Perrier water, we give him some white wine and a little bit of whiskey in it. We didn't really think he would really fall for that, so it's a bit of a, I don't know what we're going to do now. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen next?
How irresponsible is this? We're giving the captain wine? I actually feel that this is so bad we're going to have them all arrested that are on the ship. Because if they're going to behave like this all the way on the Queen Mary, and anyway, we're not even on the Queen Mary. As far as I know, we're on the ferry and we're going over to the island of France, not round the Mediterranean. We're just going to go straight over, and it's what's called a booze cruise, which is clearly why the captains have all that. And we're going to bring back lots of booze, which is people that clearly had too much to drink, they don't know where they're going, and we're not on the Queen Mary. Although, you know, it's pretty nice. It could look like the Queen Mary, and then they need a refit, but...
Well, I'm Kate. So we are on the little boat, and look, there's 4 another gentlemen. Looks like they missed their boat too. Should we just go and introduce ourselves? Okay, now you go first. Oh, I think that's the captain from the Queen Mary, one of them. Okay, let's go to introduce ourselves.
We introduced ourselves to the captain of the Queen Mary. And he was, of course, terribly drunk at the time. So it was a bit of a disaster because he was obviously quite sick. And he accidentally may have made a mess on one of my friend's clothes. And so what happened next was...
Well, the captain of the Queen Mary was drunk, that's why he was on the boat, but he suddenly got sobered up and he realised he should have been on the Queen Mary. So he turns the boat round, or they turn the boat round, back to the Queen Mary, and they all board it because now this 3-hour queue had already just about dispersed. So they arrived on Queen Mary.
Good evening, my name's Mark. So, we're back on the Queen Mary. Oh, it's got the booze cruise. So, we all rush to the bar, demanding our booze because we're on a cruise. This one's going to the Mediterranean, I've been reliably informed, with a slightly less drunk captain in charge. The problem is, if you're in charge of a big boat and you're still slightly drunk, you can't sail in a straight line. So, what happened next was...
Hi, my name's Andy. So, the boat started to veer off in a strange direction, but then I realised I left my suitcase back at home. So
this was a problem until I noticed on the bar table that the booze had started to flow quite freely, and there was a giant game of poker being played, and there was a lot of clothes in the middle of the table at this point, which gave me the good idea too.
As you all know, my name's Jay and I am a poker player. So this was my perfect environment. Clothes coming off, poker in flow, on a boat cruise. So had my perfect hand, 3 people heads up, 1 person's got all in, and just as I was about to put my chips in then...
So we started this cruise off with 4 of us, and we're playing strip poker, but we just realised one of them isn't our friend. He's been tagging along with us the entire time, and we want to know who he is.
Let's bring this back to reality.
Daddy,
I've done a poo. You turn over, it's 3 in the morning, the little boy's pushing you. Daddy, I've done a poo, where's your poo? In the bed. This is reality, not any of these Queen Mary ships. It's 3 in the morning and your son's pooed the bed.
That's why I woke up from this horrendous room and realised the Queen Mary and the poo in the bed was all.
Then I didn't know what to do actually. Then I had to have a good sleep. When I sleep for many hours, then when I wake up, it was a very cold and breezy night. The breeze was everywhere, it was cold while the boats and the Queen Mary was shaking. The captain was a little bit drunk. Everybody was drunk, thinking we were doing things right. As he was fucking the daddy, I've done a poo. Actually, the little boy did a poo because the daddy forgot to put on nappy before he went to bed. So all this that we've been talking about happened in a dream.
And that was the next pilot episode of Dance, I believe. It was all a dream. Okay, thank you for playing along with that. I think you thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'd like to hand back to your Toastmaster for the evening.
Well, thank you very much. Wasn't that interesting? I think that actually was a great warm-up because this time we had the opportunity to make it really impromptu. Reason why is because we couldn't just hear the question and the last person had all this time to think in what they were going to say. We actually needed to pay attention and carry on. Use our imagination, so well done. I think you did a great job. Now, our next speaker is going to be Mr. Stone. He's going to give us a speech that actually is going to be 5 minutes, Tony, if you could take that into account, please. And he's going to speak to us about how to give a good feedback. So actually, would you like to please come on? His speech is called Feedback Ownership, and he won't need any evaluators.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests that have turned up today. The speech I want to give you today is about feedback. Again, those that were here a few months back, I gave a certain speech which was called the shit sandwich. And since that time, I've tried to develop the feedback formula that I was using to try and make it a bit more user-friendly for everyone to have a go at. Often, in this environment and environments outside of here, work, and our personal lives, we are in an opportunity where we have to give feedback. However, we're also stuck between not wanting to hurt someone's feeling and wanting to try to give improvement suggestions of how we saw the situation taking place. So what I've done is just created 3, hopefully, simple prompts for you to kind of make up this sandwich for you that's a little bit more gentle to you. The element of ownership is to take ownership of what feedback is. It's a gift from yourself to the person that you're giving feedback to of suggestions. And that's the key thing it is. It's only suggestions. It's your opinion on what that person has done. It's nothing more. It's not fact. It's not this is the way you should have done it. This is how a really great speaker does it. This is what X, Y, and Z do. It's just a bit of feedback, and it's your opinion on how you felt it would have been better from your point of view. So that's the first key thing, taking ownership. The second thing is, I've lost my train of thoughts there. The second thing, I'll go through what the structure of it is. So as I said, there are 3 prompts. So the first prompt that you have, and this is what I'd like you to use throughout the session today, as you're evaluating or when you're giving your feedback yourself and your forms throughout the session, you use this little format, and then at the end of it, I'll come back up again, and then you can give me feedback on the feedback model that I've put together. So the first thing is, what did you like? So what did you like about the speech? Start off on a positive, because we don't want to kind of knock them down straight away and hit them with negative comments and like that. So what you liked. And then you get to the middle bit, which is usually the negative part, the bit that, if you've ever been in one of those management conversations, the manager spends 2 seconds saying, yeah, and I really like how you dress, and then sits you down for the next 15 minutes while he completely hammers into you about all the things you've done wrong. We're going to try and change that up a little bit in this one. So the second part is, I would have liked more of. You fill in the rest. So you're not saying get rid of anything. You're not saying this was bad, that was bad, X, Y, and Z. You're just saying, I would have liked more emphasis on the tonality of your speech. I would have liked more emphasis on the story that you use at the start. I would have liked more emphasis of the use of the room that when you're giving your speech. So it's focusing on the positive, how they can positively change their speech. And then you finish off on the good bit, which is, and I especially liked. So then you're looking for the thing that really stood out in that speech. What was the key moment in the speech that kind of sold it to you? If the point of a speech is to try and get a message across or to change people, what point in the speech had that impact on you, that changed everything and made that speech incredibly powerful for you? So there you have, it's the remodeled, much kinder, much nicer shit sandwich. Got rid of the shitty middle part and put some nice fillings in there. Apologise for the coarseness. It's what I liked, what I would have liked more of, and what I really liked. There's not much point in me going on standing up here and telling you any more information, because what I'd like to do is really, as is the important thing about feedback, is to get your feedback at the end of the 4th speech and the 4th evaluation, and to see what worked, what didn't work, and what really worked well in it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, so that was great. It happens a lot to us that we give our criticism or our feedback with the best of our intentions, and sometimes it doesn't come across that way. So I'm sure that having that structure would really help us, to all of us. Mentioning on something that you did mention, yeah, you said that the feedback is a gift.
You want to sit here?
And I would like to remember to everyone, to each one of you, that your voice is a gift, and if you are here, it's because something inside of you knows that you have a message to give. So even though we have amazing speakers that are being very smart and are making the most of the time, and it's the ones that you are starting to feel very often, to see very often, I would like to invite you to start taking on the slots for the next meetings, so that you can actually practice and start letting out that voice that have a message, and that's why you are here. Having said this, I would like to introduce our evaluator for our second speaker, and that will be Kate. So Kate will be explaining to us what is she going to be looking for in Tony's speech.
Yes. So in a minute we will hear Tony's speech. He's already on his second project from storytelling, and I'd like to hear a good story, the best if it's based on your personal experience, and the story needs to have basically elements of good story. So the beginning, middle bit, and the conclusion at the end. And also, we would like to hear something original, so we can all take something out of the story for ourselves. So, Tony.
So here with you, we have Tony with the stone wall or down with the fish.
Oh, it's not you.
And then for the next bit of time to give you a light to watch.
Have you all seen those interactive TVs where you get to a certain point in a film or a program and you can choose that option or that option? Anyone seen it? Well, you have now. Because you get to choose whether we go for the stone wall or down with the fish. Just by a show of hands, who would like the stone wall? Okay, so it looks like, okay, what about down with the fish? Clive, who's got it? Down with the fish or the stone wall?
The stone wall.
The stone wall, yeah. Okay. That was good. Well, that's what we have, because Clive just said it. If you were sitting beside me in 1993, July the 8th, you'd been sitting and smelling fresh leather. Absolutely brand new spanking car. Who likes TVRs? Sports cars, anyone? A few of us. Brand new TVR sports car, a 4-litre Chimera, 240 brake horsepower. For those that don't know, this is in 1993, that was quite a lot. Very light sports car. The cockpit, the dashboard, it's like a fighter plane. Absolutely stunning car, super fast. 5.1 seconds 0 to 60 at 152 miles an hour. My friend had bought one and he'd come to pick me up. We used to do skydiving and we were on our way to go skydiving. So we'd got this car and we were going about our business and having fun and whatever else. On the way back, we decided we were going to call it a TVR dealership. It was called Harrogate Horseless Carriages. Surprisingly, it was in Harrogate. Absolutely tremendous place. We walked in and the dealer said, Ian, who was my friend who bought this 4-litre car, he said, we've got a 5-litre Griffith, which was even faster still. 340 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, which is ludicrously fast, and 169 miles an hour. This Griffith was in bright red. The Chimera was in dark navy blue, both absolutely stunning, cream leather interior in both. Ian said, what do you think? I said, well, we've got time, why not? So he said, let's take it for a spin. There's a clue in the word spin. So we set off down these country lanes in North Yorkshire, just leaving Harrogate, going to a place called Ripley. 5 minutes into the journey, I said to Ian, he's a good driver. You know, he's done track days, he's a good driver, he's got a 4 litre fast car, but he's driving this 5 litre beast, and it really is a beast. So I'm sitting there and I said to him, we just went around that corner at over 95 miles an hour. He said, we didn't say anything actually, just carried on going. So we got to where we were going, we stopped 5 minutes, and then we started heading back. And on the way back, I glanced at the speedo, going the opposite direction around the same corner, and I glanced over, we're doing just over 100 miles an hour. That's when it happened. You know, I said we took the car for a spin. We literally took the car for a spin. So he lost the car. The back of the car went this way, and he caught it, and it went this way. He caught it once more, and this is where the stone wall comes into play. There's a dry stone wall. You know these really 15, 18 inch thick dry stone walls? There's one there with our name on it. It's saying, come on. You're thinking about it, come on. So we did. We did a couple of spins, and we met very briefly with this dry stone wall. We hit it doing, this is what the police said afterwards, maybe 70 or 80 miles an hour. And we hit this dry stone wall with a bang, and we spun off, and we spun several more spins. There's about 100 metres of TBR down the road. Bright red, 5 litre Griffin. We eventually came to a stop. Still upright. Ian said to me, I'll not swear, but he said, F, shit, damn. And he's like looking at me. He said, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good. I said, what about you? He said, I'm fine. I said, oops. So we both sitting there in this car. And he said, God, will you ring the dealership? I said, of course. So my phone is down at the footwell, which obviously from the impact of the wall it would be. So I leant down and I rang the dealership and I said, it's Ian and Tony, we just took the Griffin down for a ride. And they said, everything okay? I said, we're okay, so the car's not too good. It was a write-off, a brand new spanking car, written off. They came out, but before they got there to take it back to the garage, the police arrived. And they grilled us. We got our story really, really good, tightened together. We said an animal had run across the road and we'd swerved to miss it and we'd done all these things and lost control and whatever. They grilled us. I think it was 4 or 5 police cars, an ambulance and a fire engine arrived on a police bike. And we're sitting there, individually, separately being grilled. We got our story straight. Now, what's the relevance of this story? Why is it relevant to this group? Why is it important? Why is it of interest? And maybe why can it be useful? The dry stone wall, it's been there for a long, long time. It's stood against the elements. It's had the rain and the wind, and it's this thick and it's solid. It looks invincible, as did the TBR. 100 metres down the road, they're different, scattered bits of everything all over the place. Think about how we are with ourselves. Think about the walls that we build in our mind. The walls of limitation. The walls of fear. The walls of, I'm not good enough. People sometimes really, really get into the architecture of these walls, really get into the design. They build prisons. And they stay in there for days and weeks and months and years. I'm not good enough. Who am I to dare to do X, Y, or Z? Whatever your X, Y, or Z would be. Let me say something that may make sense and may not. If your why is big enough, if the reason that you're doing something is big enough, do you think that wall's going to hold you back? I mean, seriously? A wall? Not an 18-inch thick dry stone wall like in North Yorkshire. Solid, robust. A made-up psychological wall? We get to decide. Every single time we get to decide. We can take it seriously. We can keep it in place. We can add to it. We can put bolts on the doors. We can put a solid roof on. We can do all sorts with it in the privacy of our own minds. But get it out and put it on the table. Let's talk about what it actually consists of, what it's made of. It's thought. It's energy. It's nothing more and nothing less. And yet we look at it as though it's the 18-inch thick dry stone wall that we had a meeting with in the TBR sports car. I'm so pleased that you picked the TBR story, Clive. Thank you for that. The other one, what was it called? Down with the Fishes, was a great story. It's about scuba diving. Great story, but this one I enjoyed more. So thank you for listening. Hopefully you've got something from this. The next time you feel a limitation dressed in the guise of a wall in your mind, see it for what it is. Thank you for listening.
Well, that was amazing. I think it's good to mention the fact that Tony decided to move on with the manual of stories because he thought he wasn't good at it. So obviously we can see that that was only a wall that he had in there and he already pushed through that. I would like us to take now a minute, please, to speak with your partner, with the person next to you, and discuss what have you learned about this. What can you take for your own speeches, and what do you think you could change for your own speeches as well? Can we please have a minute in the club?
I'm going to speak to the man himself.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak to the man himself. When did you come up with that story?
Here's a real story. It's a true story.
When did you
when I was sitting here, I knew I was either doing that one or the scuba diving one, and I couldn't decide on which. That's why I thought just have to look in terms of that one. And the rest of it was just remember. It wasn't competitive. But it just seems to work better. If I try and repair it, I wouldn't remember it. So I'm much rather still because I'm really fresh and I'm literally kind of thinking. So
especially like the presentation, your posture, your confidence is way off the board. The entire structure of the your variety was not loud, was not modulated quite very well. Around the walk down here, I think if I can remember, it was the first presentation to walk down to the brilliant. I think it's like, you don't walk too much on your speech. You just know what you're going to talk about. You just go there and talk about it. I think I like that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Well, I hope that you had a great discussion and that you managed to take a lot of things for yourself to apply to your speeches. Now I would like to welcome Kate again so that she can tell us a little bit and give us the evaluation of Tony.
Thank you. Tony, what a story. Thank you for presenting it in such a lovely way. I will read a little bit from the notes that the story was definitely based on personal experience. I think that it wasn't made up story, it was a real story, yes. So definitely on personal experience. And I think that you very well built up to the climax of the story. You describe in details like how many miles per hour or something like that. And you know, the smell of the leather, I almost could smell it sitting there. So that was very good beginning. For a moment I thought maybe too many details, but no, I know now where you were going with it. So that was very good. And also at the end, the conclusion, that really will leave a mark in myself actually. I will remember that. And good two pictures actually, the brick wall and actually our boundaries which we create in our mind. And that's not a brick wall, that's actually just something intangible which we can't even touch, but actually it does stop us in life from doing many things. So I have to say that that was very good speech, and I really don't know what I would add. Steen just a minute ago said that give advice what I would like to hear more. You know, within given time, I think you used the time perfectly, and I've got nothing to add. So maybe someone from the audience would have some constructive feedback for Tony.
I thought perhaps we could have brought it right up to date with linking it to the now the most powerful man in the world with the wall that he's going to build in Mexico. I think, you know, we've had the Great Wall of China, the Hadrian's Wall in our own UK, and the wall in Berlin. Did this really contain or suppress anything? And yet the most powerful man is talking about walls. I thought that would have been a nice brought it right up to date and make it top of it.
That's a really, really good point. Appreciate it. Thank you, Clive.
No, I'm glad.
And one more person maybe?
I like the way that we have a lot of statistics initially, very comfortable sitting in the chair and details of the car. But then when you went into the story of driving down the fast lanes and spinning on the corners, hitting the wall, and then the colour of the screws, the scene with all the stuff strewn down the road, and the police and the investigation and trying to tell them the story about they were well prepared for it. This to me brought it into a real story from the statistics starting. So well done, that's all I can say.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was very impressed by speech, by Tony's speech. It's only how he clever connected, integrated his personal special experience with well-known conception of the highest walls it's in our heads. It's one thing. Another thing, how he behaved during speech. It's very impressive because he emphasizes the content of his speech by his movements. He went along this promenade, looking on us, and he was sitting on the chair. It's really, it's everything what he did. It's actually trigger our imagination. It's make his speech very vivid for us. And I saw this field, wall, beautiful car, two very young and handsome young men, and everything was here. Vividly. Thank you very much. It's really difficult to say something constructive that probably I can join Clive request.
Tony, I think you're an excellent speaker, really confident, loved it all. But for me, and I may be the only one in the room who actually thought this, but I actually thought this great wall from the north saved your life. And it actually, the spinning of the car, it stopped the car dead, and you were both alive. And I couldn't see how that transferred to then saying, let's break down the walls and break down the barriers and cross the wall, because the story I read as, Jay, that's brilliant, because that could have gone so bad, and it stopped you, because it was such a strong wall for me. That's how I saw it. But I absolutely go with Olga that your speech in the way that you describe, you've picked the right book, because the way you describe visually, you put us there in that position, and it's excellent.
Thank you.
It's simply he cleverly
So the actual story
his
has
negative
two roads you can
experience
do.
in very positive conclusions. It's really, how to say it, you must be master. From negative make positive.
Thank you for the feedback. Thank you.
So we will keep giving welcome to great people. Our evaluator for our third speaker is Greg. Will you please come in? Everyone seems to be a bit surprised tonight.
This is This is Alistair's speech number 7. Now, I didn't know I was evaluating this until I walked in, and Alistair didn't know a lot about speech number 7 either. So between us, we've cobbled it together. Speech number 7, according to the book, is about research. Now, it doesn't make it very clear in the book what it wants you to research, but we think the idea of speech number 7 is just about taking a subject that probably no one else in the room knows about and putting it into a context that we can all understand. Simple as that. Alistair's asked us to make sure he smiles, and he's also asked us to make sure that he's confident throughout. So those are the 2 observations he'd like. So Alistair with his speech called
Public Speaking and the Amygdala.
Alistair, thank you.
This time last year, I had a powerful truth about the human brain revealed to me. This truth, which is simple, had life-transforming effects. I see other people try to overcome their fears, fail, and get frustrated. Not knowing what to do, they would give up. But this truth gave me the insight I needed to overcome mine. My journey starts last year. I had a New Year's resolution to overcome my fear of public speaking. Now, in order to do that, I'd have to join a public speaking group. But I live in a really small village, and there wasn't one. So I got a bit creative. I did the next best thing, and I searched for any groups of people that met up in my local area, and I'd find a way to speak to them. 2 groups of people turned up during my search. The first group of people, they met at my local church every Tuesday night and discussed their alcohol problems. Alcoholics Anonymous. The second group, well, they called themselves Narcotics Anonymous. Those were the options in my local area. Now, you have to remember, I was desperate to overcome my fear of public speaking. And I have actually had a few fears before in my life. So I put those 2 things together, and I went along to AA with the sole intention of improving my public speaking. I arrive at the church the meeting's been held at, and those places are really eerie at night. I follow a sign leading me through a narrow corridor, and it takes me into a small back room where the meeting is being held. Inside, I find about 8 or 9 men all sitting down, listening to someone at the front speak. He's telling us all about his life story, and he speaks for about 45 minutes. And during that time, he hardly mentions anything to do with alcohol. But what he does let us all know is just how violent he is. This man had been in and out of prison his entire life. I'll save you all the gratuitous details, but listening to this man's life story, it was like having a Chuck Norris film script read out. I looked around the room to see how other people are reacting to this. Well, about half the men are nodding their heads in agreement. But the man next to me, he's having a whale of a time. He's laughing his head off. He's reacting to punchlines I just wasn't perceiving. When the man at the front was done speaking, the rest of the room could offer their input. They would say words of encouragement, but they also related what he said to their own lives. I learned that a lot of other men in that room had also been to prison, specifically for violence. It was right about that point in time, I glanced at the door I came in through, and I noticed it suddenly shrank in size, and now I bet it be over a mile away. Last year, I was doing a lot of reading about the human brain because I wanted to understand what was happening inside myself when fear took over. Now, it turns out we all have a very small part of our brain called the amygdala, and it produces that famous fight or flight response. Or as I like to call this part of the brain, the amygdala. you can all locate your right amygdala right now, if you like. So if you take your left pointer finger, aim it at your right eye, and you take your right pointer finger, put it in your right ear, the point where these two lines intersect inside your head is where your right amygdala is. Another really cool thing you can do is if you take your right thumb, put it in front of your right eye, and you take your left thumb, put it in front of your left eye. Doesn't actually do anything. Thank you. So, the amygdala. It's roughly the size of an almond, but it produces that very powerful feeling of fear. So as you can imagine, when I was sitting in that room, and I was listening to Tyler Durden from Fight Club speak, and I had the Joker from Batman seated immediately to my right, well, it activated my amygdala so much that it detached itself from the rest of my brain, squeezed its way up from my right ear, and made a beeline straight for the door. It turns out, whenever we feel fear, it's the same process. Our amygdala identifies a threat within our environment, and it produces the fear response. This was really useful thousands of years ago, when we constantly had to search for predators. But in the modern world, our amygdala often reacts to things that aren't really threatening, like doing public speaking. The reason why I told you all that story is because when I did eventually join a public speaking group, I actually had the same feelings, had exactly the same intensity of fear. But I used a really powerful truth about the human brain to help me. And that is, if I wanted to overcome my fear of public speaking, I just have to let my amygdala become active. Now, during the course of last year, I learned 3 really useful things about the amygdala. Maybe these 3 things could also help some of you. The first thing I learned is to exercise. A lot of people know they feel better after exercising because endorphins are released in the body. But endorphin is actually short for endogenous morphine, and that means morphine-like substance produced in the body. But you can produce this for free just by exercising. And the relaxing effects of this last up to 6 hours. So if you know you have to do something that's likely to cause you a lot of stress, a well-scheduled exercise session beforehand can make all the difference. The second thing I learned is to get a good night's sleep. In 2007, Professor Yu from Harvard Medical School did an experiment. Half his subjects were allowed to go to sleep, the other half weren't. When they did brain scans on the people who were sleep deprived, their amygdala showed 60% more activity, meaning they were feeling a lot more stress and a lot more anxiety. This is because our amygdala is the part of the brain that is most negatively affected by lack of sleep than any other part. And the final thing I learned is that our amygdala only learns through experience. It was one of the first parts of our brain to evolve, and because of this, it doesn't really understand language. Trying to influence the fight or flight response with positive self-talk is going to have very little impact. It's much better to get experience. And it was the final truth that ultimately gave me the courage to join a public speaking group. Because what I was doing, essentially, was retraining my amygdala. And when I did join the public speaking group and I turned up to the first meeting, I stood up and I could only speak for 30 seconds. And I had to sit down because I was just so overwhelmed with fear. But each week, I kept turning up. And gradually, positive memories were being stored into my amygdala. A couple of times, I was lucky enough to be voted best speaker at a few of my clubs. And it's those type of memories I draw upon that have allowed me to speak today.
I don't know if this is the place to say this, but I feel so proud of you. Oh my God, the change is massive. Like, you've done amazing. Can we please have 1 minute in the cloud to discuss what we learned? Thank you.
How do you feel?
Relieved.
Relieved, yeah. You sure? Okay, apart from the name.
Last one, very
I feel so happy.
Did you?
And why I was so overjoyed for you was the fact that you ignored the red light and went on. I mean, it took 7 minutes.
Yeah, one of the very relevant. Very relevant to what happened.
At the end, what I felt is that I did most of my jokes in the first one, and there was no jokes towards the end.
This wasn't a joke, this speech, was it? It was a normal.
But it's both.
It was kind of entertaining.
But I didn't expect from you to enjoy all
To
the
make everybody laugh, no. You have a message. And you just put in some little bit of entertaining feelings in there, which we all smiled and laughed at. But the delivery was way out of proportion.
Well, I hope that was a great discussion. Something that really took my attention was the fact that Alistair always has a purpose. Every time he has a speech, he always let us know what he wants to improve that day. And that's something that I have learned about it. Thank you.
I think you've made a fan, Alistair. Okay, I'm going to do this via Steam's model. Okay, so the 3 questions. What did I like? I liked a lot about Alistair's speech. What I liked the most is he had to tell us about a science topic, about the brain, and to be fair, I'm not the cleverest person. I'm not the cleverest person on a Wednesday evening. So he brought it down to a really good level I think we could all really engage at. He wasn't dumbing it down, he was still giving us a little bit of science, but he was bringing it down to something that's relevant to us all as well, because we're here at a public speaking club. So I really liked that, I thought that was really good. I liked the fact he had a very clear purpose, there was no doubt about that at all. Speeches, they tend to either inspire you or give you a lesson or entertain, and this was clearly an inspirational speech. He came up here and he told us about a personal story, and because it was so personal, it makes you want to listen. If he'd come up and just given us a load of science studies or a lot of university studies, it wouldn't have been as good, but he related it to himself, which I thought was really good. It made me listen, kept my attention. It was well-rounded as well. He told us what he was going to tell us at the start, and it's that classic thing. Then he told us, and at the end he related it back to what he told us. And he did that other trick that I really like. In the body of the speech, he mentioned the title of the speech, which I really like. I like that, and a lot of people do that, and it just gives it a completedness. It was the next question I would have liked more of. It's always a difficult one, this, because I was that entertained by the speech, I wasn't really picking up on things I didn't like or would have liked more of. What I liked in the first speech with Tony, he did all this walking along here, and we've never really seen that much here, so a possible suggestion for you. Having said that, in general, I really did like his body language. At one point, he glanced at the door and he pointed. I thought that was good, and he was explaining something else and held his arms up here like that, so I thought that was really good. But maybe try this walking down the middle bit, walking around this way a little bit more. And the last question I especially liked. There's several things I especially liked about this speech. The lesson at the end. It's always nice to have a lesson at the end. It's a bit of a cliche with the Toastmasters book. It's quite an Americanized book, but it is true. It's nice to have a lesson at the end, something you can take away with you. And he told us about the exercise and the sleep and the experience. It was simple as that. It was a nice little lesson we could all take home with us. And so, in summary, I really liked it. It was an excellent speech, and it was confident, and you asked me to look at if you were smiling, and you were definitely smiling throughout. And having seen all your speeches, it's amazing how much they've developed, and I think that was a really good, confident speech. Anyone else?
I think that as well as being very inspiring, it was very entertaining as well. I thought it was quite fun when he was describing the people that were at the meeting. I thought that was really funny, but at the same time, it was having a point across in a very kind of personal way. You could just imagine it. I also liked the way, I thought it was really good. It was really, really calm, really, really calm and very measured. And I really admired the fact that we could all feel and understand how much he'd overcome, and that was absolutely fantastic.
I think that's a good point.
And
Yeah.
I think he deserves a massive appreciation of that, and we know that as we all go through that, and it's really hard sometimes. So I think it took a lot of courage to stand up and say that. So it was entertaining, inspiring, and also informative. So it was really a lot.
Greg, I thought your debrief there was absolutely spot on. Your proportion, your delivery there, I think you took so much of that. And what an excellent listener you are. Well, I think he needs a round of applause just for that. Questions and feedback I've heard for a long time. I would just like to touch on the body work a little there, where you have got a great presence there, quite naturally. And some of the words that you linked in, you started off quite centre in the middle of the stage, and you said, I want to take you on this journey, and you walked 3 steps as you were saying the word journey. Was that timed, or was that just natural? I need to know.
No, I just did it on the
As
spot.
you said that, you took it, and that was just great there, and your movement around, the way you used it there, when people say, oh, you've got to use the whole stage, you've got to do this and that, and you see people going around as if they're on a sponsored walk. But yours was really great. Every single movement was deliberate, which was really good. But you could even capitalise on this more. You just need to make it a bit more sexy. There were some movements where you just went in, and it was when you was doing the statistics and that, into a bit of robot, and it reminded me of craft work from when they were doing all these dances there. So, think of it like that, but just jazz a bit more with that. And you could take it to a whole different level that you may not have thought about yet, but just that natural thing of how you are on the stage there. Excellent for that.
Yeah, what I liked about, I think everybody knows about the stage present. The body language was there, the stage present, and it has been said, everybody knows, it doesn't matter what you say, how you say, you were impeccable with your word. You said exactly what you wanted to say. And also about confident starting the speech until at the end. I think you were, I don't know if you were feeling nervous, but I didn't feel anything. So you were from starting until the finish point completely confident. I really liked it. When I said I liked it, I really mean it. Thanks.
They found that as well, the speech was very, very balanced. You could find good movements, jokes, and everything was in Alistair's speech. But most important, its core of speech, his incredible curiosity about such complex subject as brain. And his approach to study is really not very often you will find people who has problems and they try to learn, to try to find the root of their problems on such high level as Alistair. And I would like to listen that you continue to present people about your what you found about brain, human brain, because it's very, everybody must know. I remember that many years ago I talked with my mother, was very humble woman, about brain, because it's another reason why I talked. And she listened, we walked, and I talk about connections. And she, at the end, she said, poor brain, how many functions, how many significant. And I think that if you will continue by such understandable, to present this complex subject on such understandable level, it will be actually invaluable thing, because you know that mental problem now it's on the rise in the world and in UK. That so many people suffer from different types of mental problems. It's we need